do it. Okay. Sorry to folks about this new setup. I can make a slideshow today because I don't have the funds to pay for Google's hard drive currently, and so I couldn't make a new slideshow. So the setup is as it is. So, but I found a way around it. So, but today we're talking. Today we're finally reaching our current finale of the MTU phases because phase 6 is still in production. So
Yeah, a friend of mine asked me, she's like, so this is your last one for a while? I'm like, yeah, because we can't finish until they actually release all of phase 6. She says, well, I suppose that's fair.
yeah. And also, sadly, it is Jill. It is your last appearance for a while because you have life and jobs.
Yeah. I wrote 4 articles today, so
She needs a breather.
yeah.
But hopefully,
James,
sorry, go on.
James Tolkien, who played Strickland in the Back to the Future movies, died yesterday. So I had to write an obituary, among other things.
Played who?
Strickland, the principal.
Oh, him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But hopefully, it'll be before 2027 yet you can return.
Yes.
But before we get to the main event, I have to ask: have either of you seen the Spider-Man trailer?
Yes.
I'm not. I'm
Yes.
kind of deliberately avoiding it for now.
Okay, then I won't talk about it then. If you both seen I was going to talk about, but I don't like to do spoilers. If either one of you either one of you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
So never mind that. Now, starting last phase, we had you said there's a theme for each phase.
Yes. The theme for this phase is you have to deal with your past. It turns out the MCU executives could have learned this lesson too. We'll get to that as we get into Quantumania. But pretty much everyone who's at least a major character in this phase has left things in their past unresolved. And that turns out to be a bad idea.
Yeah. So real fast, so we can go that before. What was the themes of each other phase?
So let's see. Phase 1 is about beginnings, obviously. You get a lot of character introductions, a lot of figuring themselves out, that whole nature of thing. Hold on, I'm calling up the phase list here so I can look at which movies are which phase again, because I don't reliably remember. Phase 2 is exploring a wider world. It's our first galactic movie. Guardians of the Galaxy is phase 2. Winter Soldier, when we learn that there's still Hydra to be dealt with. Ant-Man, which introduces the idea of the quantum realm. That's what's going on in phase 2. Phase 3 is phase 3 is basically, for the most part, build up to Thanos and its alliances is a lot of what's going on in phase 2 or phase 3 rather. Choosing sides. Phase 4, we had Found Family. And Grief. And Phase 5 gets into you have to come to terms with your past.
All right, so let's talk about what was you when Phase 5 started. What was your all's opinions of Marvel going forward?
Was not good for a good chunk of the phase.
I still liked most of Phase 4. There were a couple of stumbling places, and I'm never going to be the biggest fan of the Thor movies. That's just, it is what it is. But I did think that overall they were still a lot more solid than any other movie series would have been after that many movies.
And let's get right on to it. And the first one in here with the third movie of the trilogy, Ant-Man and Quantumania.
I'm gonna say this right from the offset. This is the worst movie in the MCU.
Yes, it is.
Like, it's not even like, the only one that comes close is Thor: The Dark World, and Thor: The Dark World's crime is that it's boring. This one legitimately is infuriating.
I think Brave New World is worse than Thor: The Dark World, and we'll get to why when we get there. But Quantumania, I thought the biggest problem with Quantumania is, and it's a pun, but it's still true, it's a problem of scale, really. Ant-Man is the wrong MCU character to build your overarching big bad plot onto, because that's not what Ant-Man is for. Ant-Man does heists.
He's more of a comic relief, like, hero character, not like one that's meant to be like yeah, he has his moments of drama, but like, he's not meant to be basically setting up the brand new story.
Yeah. And like, I'm not even going to say it's not their fault they didn't know about Jonathan Majors, because it absolutely is their fault. Because I'm going to tell you something you may or may not know. Stories about him had been going around for years. I don't think I had heard them before it blew up, but I knew people who had heard them before it blew up. People who were more connected in the industry than I am. I'm fairly tangentially connected to the industry. I've got some friends who are minor people in Hollywood, and most of what I know is friends of friends. But I have friends who actually do work in the industry, and I know other people who I wouldn't consider friends, but acquaintances who work in the industry, and some of them had already heard stories.
Yeah, with that aside, I mean, if you think, why do you think? Sorry.
Well, the thing with I think you were going to ask, why do you think they didn't just recast him? Is that what you were going to ask?
Yeah.
Well, and that is a perfectly valid question, because they make it clear from the offset, Kang the Conqueror has so many variants that, on top of that, recastings are absolutely nothing new to the MCU. In fact, it would happen again after this movie.
In fact, it would happen in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It did.
They recast Cassie.
I had actually not thought about that.
Yeah. Now,
and
the casting that I heard to recast Kang, and I'm going to die mad they didn't do this, and this is one that people who watched Loki will get. they should have cast Gugu Mbatha Raw and had the variants replaced with her and variants of her. Or what a friend of mine suggested is, because of the position Loki now holds in the multiverse, all of Loki's variants now look like Tom Hiddleston, and instead all of Kang's variants are different actors.
I was thinking, personally, I was thinking the big bad, the next movie would be a good Kang.
Sure. There are so many ways to go. And the friend I was talking to tonight, just before the show, is of the opinion that the problem is Ike Perlmutter. Remember Ike Perlmutter way back at the beginning of the MCU?
Mm-hmm.
Said when he recast the role of Rhodey that black actors are basically interchangeable. And that's a hell of a statement to make. And a hell of a statement to come back from. And so recasting a black actor in the MCU has a bit of weight attached to it now. And that's not why they didn't recast T'Challa. They didn't recast T'Challa because nobody involved in Black Panther could emotionally handle someone else in that role. But it may be part of why they didn't just recast Kang, which would have been objectively a better choice than Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom. I'm not saying he can't do the job, I'm saying he shouldn't be doing the job. It's different.
At the very least, if he was going to do the job, they should have waited to give him his own arc, not have him hijack the original planned arc.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here that is just, it's bad choices on just about every level. And again, I'm going to emphasize, they could have avoided all of this by actually looking into the man's personal history.
Of course. Yeah, that aside, is also people have a problem with the story he was involved in too.
Yeah, I was hearing another one of the reasons why they didn't just recast Kang was because of Quantumania's reception. Like, they took, like, I guess they figured, oh, well, people aren't excited to see Kang as the villain. I guess we don't use him now.
And the thing is that's not the problem with Quantumania per se. The problem with Quantumania isn't Kang is a bad villain, because Kang and Loki works.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if either of you watched Loki.
I have not. I only know that they used Loki to quickly resolve the Kang storyline so they could get rid of Jonathan Majors ASAP.
Loki is one of the 3 best MCU shows, full stop.
Which I've heard, yeah.
It's WandaVision, Loki, Agatha all along. I haven't seen Wonder Man yet, so, there's that. But Loki is so good. So good.
The only things Quantumania's post-credit scene has to do with Loki, and then also when we get, jumping a little ahead a bit, the TVA from Loki plays a role in Deadpool and Wolverine, though Loki himself does not show up.
Yeah, I haven't watched that movie. I'm not going to. We'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the TVA is the plot of Loki.
Yeah.
That's what the whole show is about. And it's so good and it's so well done. And there's so much going on there. And Kang is so good in it. And he lands in this movie with a thud. And part of that is because he's the wrong villain for Scott.
That is one of the big criticisms. Like, they're building up Kang as this new unstoppable villain on the level of Thanos, and he gets his ass handed to him by Ant-Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
All by himself, pretty much.
Like, he's got his daughter, who doesn't know what she's doing.
even though she thinks she does, and she will very arrogantly let you know that. That was one of my big problems with the movie.
Well, the thing is I have a 12-year-old. That rings 100% true to me. She's a teenager. She's gonna be like that.
Doesn't mean that I have to really like her, but yeah.
Huh?
That doesn't really mean I have to like her with how, like, she's older than 12.
No,
like,
but the thing is,
yeah,
she's still supposed to be a teenager, and teenagers can be stupid and arrogant. You don't have to like them. You shouldn't, because it's annoying. But it's a realistic kind of annoying.
Especially if this is supposed to be her intro to, say, Young Avengers.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, like, I think my problem stems from how nobody, the one of the scenes that I really did not like in the movie is like the opening dinner scene where basically, so Cassie's ganging up on Scott, Hank and Janet are ganging up on Scott, Hope is ganging up on Scott, like everybody is saying Scott is a wimp.
Yeah, nobody's on Scott's side.
Like, that is probably where my problem stems from. Like, they think Cassie is better than Scott.
Yeah, and the thing is I can accept that Cassie is smarter than Scott, because I have known people who were way far and away smarter than their parents, to the point that their parents were not quite sure how that happened. That's fine.
Which is fair.
I get that. But nobody in the movie really seems to like Scott very much.
Which doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
No, it doesn't. Scott's really likable. Scott's one of the most likable characters in the MCU, in part because he's played by Paul Rudd, who just is. But it's really frustrating that this movie ignores everything we like about Ant-Man in favor of setting up a big bad that they're going to end up having to throw away. Or that they choose to throw away because they've made bad decisions, but either way, the point is they're setting this whole thing up, and they're doing Scott dirty while they do it, and then it ends up not mattering anyway.
Yeah. So, all this movie happens because the grandmother figure or the mom figure, whatever, doesn't want to.
It's such a massive plot hole.
Yeah, Janet has spent the last mumble years down in the quantum realm where time is different and it all doesn't matter and whatever. And it turns out that what she has not told any of them is that while she was down there, she accidentally kind of made it possible for Kang to take over the quantum realm, from which he hopes to launch his attack on the surface world, as it were. And so now they end up all being pulled into the quantum realm because of plot shenanigans, and they have to defeat Kang.
And the thing is, it is a massive plot hole, at least in my opinion, because basically the moment, so Janet's thing is that she freaks out when they even so much as mention the possibility of going back to the quantum realm. What were they doing at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp?
Yeah.
And she was perfectly fine. And on top of that, there was them going into Endgame. Well, granted, she was turned to dust at the time, but they go to the quantum realm during Endgame. And that brings up Kang, too. If going back to the quantum realm at all opened up the possibility of Kang escaping, how did he just sit on the side, not even taking advantage of it during Endgame's events?
I
just think they didn't think that through.
The plot doesn't make sense within the MCU as established. The plot doesn't make sense with Scott as established. The plot doesn't make sense with Hank as established. So
By the way,
God.
do you know why was Scott's friend was in this episode and movie, or was there? There's no story around
There's no
reason,
place in the story for them.
Oh.
Is the main reason. I mean, there's also some one of his friends has some personal issues with the actor, and another one of them is a Scientologist, which is its whole other thing. The third one, David Dasmalian, voices the guy who's obsessed with Holtz. So that's he's there. You just can't tell that it's him because it doesn't sound like the character he plays in the other movies.
Okay.
And there's random Bill Murray because okay.
Why not?
It's not a good movie, is I think what we're saying. It is, and I am a much bigger MCU apologist than most people, and I know that. That's a thing about me. But it is the worst movie, hands down, in the MCU. There's not even a conversation here. You ask anybody who's watched the MCU what the worst movie is, and almost without fail, they're going to say Quantumania. Now, there are some people who will say something else because taste is subjective, but I don't think I've talked to anybody who doesn't say it's Quantumania.
And this was the movie they used to start off Phase 5.
Yes,
Yep.
it is.
Yep.
If we're summing Phase 5 up in one word, that word is going to be uneven. Shaky would be another good word. The special effects aren't bad. There's one or two characters in this movie that I liked. The whole thing with the telepath I did think was funny. But overall, I did not like this movie.
Oh, you mentioned we got the Forgotten Past. Another thing would be past is forgotten characters and actors, because this movie brings back a forgotten character.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, the Darren Cross.
Yeah. I always forget that he's in there. He says he's now MODOK, and the exchange with him and Cassie very clearly feels like it's trying to be funny in an Ant-Man way and very clearly fails for me. But it is true that Darren could choose to be whoever he wanted to be, and yet somehow he keeps choosing to be Darren.
Yeah, I don't know much about MODOK from the comic series, but I doubt it came up the same way.
No, that is not at all how MODOK is in the comic.
Not even close. I mean, it's fine. You know, I'm not emotionally attached to the character, and I don't mind to at least a certain extent when they change things around from the comics, because, I mean, comics continuity is such a snarl that you can't say much. Like, if we had a Peter Parker who lived with his Uncle Ben after the death of his Aunt May, that would be something you could say is out of character. But so much about the comics is like, well, they just decided to change that back in 1987. And then they decided to change it again in like 2008. And this is how it is now, but it's been like 5 other ways. So that doesn't bother me. The change in MODOK doesn't bother me. I just didn't think they did it very well.
So, and then a lot of people I remember that at the time people complained about they thought Scott should have stayed in the quantum world, but trapped there are consequences, and I remember that at the time people were talking about that.
I don't think that would have helped. I mean, people are allowed to think that. I just don't. It's so far from being one of this movie's biggest problems that I don't even have an opinion.
Okay.
I think it's very sweet that you know, hope came back for him, but Evangeline Lilly has retired from acting, so, you know, so much for that.
She has?
She has.
Oh, yeah, Michael Douglas, I think, retired too, so no more
Yes.
him either.
Michael Douglas and Evangeline Lilly have both retired. I'm fine with Evangeline Lilly retiring. She's an anti-vaxxer.
Ah, okay.
But Michael Douglas is just old.
He is, yeah.
And, like, yeah, his father lived for freaking ever, but that doesn't mean he wants to keep working at his age, and he shouldn't have to. He's been working for so long. He can retire. Yeah. It's fine.
You know, I speaking of that, Michael Douglas. I read that's the reason why Michael Keaton, because his real name is Michael Douglas, but it was only Michael Douglas at the time as an actor, yes. So he couldn't use that name.
Yeah. So there was already a Mike Douglas. So Michael Douglas is Michael Douglas instead of Mike. And then Michael Keaton's real name is Douglas, but he couldn't be Michael Douglas because Michael Douglas. So he took the last name of Keaton. Because you can only have one person of any given name in Actors Equity. Which is why Michael J. Fox is Michael J. Fox, because there was already a Michael Fox, and his middle initial is actually A, and he thought Michael A. Fox sounded a bit conceited, so he randomly picked the initial J. Yeah.
So, let's talk about the two end credit scenes that never went anywhere. One of them didn't.
I liked the Loki one. For one thing, Tom Hiddleston is just such a good actor. The way he handles that horror is so good.
Yes.
The scene with all of the Kangs almost makes me glad that they're changing how they're doing things going forward, except for the fact that it screwed up a lot of what they were doing in this phase.
Yeah. Yeah, the only problem with the first one was that, again, if you hadn't seen the TV series, you probably had no idea what was happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that problem does become apparent, like, across Phase 5 as well. Like, so, it was already a bit of a problem in Phase 4, but 5, like, doubles down on it.
I think for this, the only of the TV shows that would be helpful to have watched is Loki.
Well, for Quantumania, but like some of the other movies require.
Well, yeah, but that's what I mean.
Yeah,
we'll get to them when we get to the movie. But
yeah,
the only show that I think would be helpful to watch is Loki. I don't think it's strictly necessary, even though
no, it's just to understand that post-credit scene. I think.
Yeah. But since I think everyone should watch Loki anyway, I'm not too fussed.
And apparently the other one was those guys were the ones that exiled the Conqueror to begin with, I believe, right?
Yeah, he was revolting against the other Kangs. That's the other thing, I don't fully understand what they were going with there. Because I'm not sure they fully understand what they were going with. I just think they thought it would be cool.
Yeah, it's where King the Conqueror is apparently the weakest of them.
Yeah. So yeah. No.
Right. But next, we go to
Guardians Volume 3.
Oh.
Um,
Well, this was a good moment of Phase 5. Like, I had like a few small issues with it, but like this one was good, I think.
yeah. Star-Lord is refusing to acknowledge that Gamora is dead and that the Gamora they have has more to do with time travel multiverse shenanigans and has no clue who he even is. Rocket, we finally get I'm fine with not doing backstory on people, but we do get Rocket's backstory here.
It's the best part of the movie.
The Rocket backstory is legitimately the best part of the movie. It's so beautiful and so sad, and apparently there was crying on the set, and because Rocket was experimented on as a kit, that's the technical name for a baby raccoon, is a kit. By I don't remember the character's name. The High Evolutionary.
Yes, High Evolutionary.
Yeah. Who is trying to build the ultimate species without understanding, much like your average young Earth creationist, that that's not really a thing.
Basically, he keeps trying to create the perfect species, and whenever they don't meet his absurd standards, he just kills them all, tries again.
Yeah,
again and again and again.
They mentioned that in the movie, but apparently the people that they were chasing the Guardians in the last movie are a product of his creation.
And Adam Warlock, who we've seen in several movies at this point. And who was Eustace in the
and Narnia and the third Narnia, yeah.
Yeah.
He was yeah.
And the thing is he realizes, the Grand Evolutionary realizes that Rocket is special, but Rocket still isn't good enough. Because he doesn't meet this guy's vision of what a perfect species would be. And Rocket has these friends that he made when he was in the cages while he was being experimented on. And, you know, I'm very careful about not giving spoilers when I give these plot summaries, but you don't have to think too hard to realize that if he still had these friends, then they would probably have been people he would have tried to get in contact with in the earlier Guardians of the Galaxy movie. So clearly things are not going to go well for them.
Let's just say the High Evolutionary is one of the MCU villains that the most you want to see get obliterated.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Poor Floor. My gods. And so Rocket gets injured in an attack on Nowhere, which is now the Guardian's base.
From Adam Warlock, right?
Yeah. And if they are going to save his life, they have to get information about the experimentation done on him, because he's got a kill switch. And if they operate on him, he'll die. But if they don't operate on him, he'll die.
Real fast.
Either of those choices.
Yeah, real fast. One thing that I thought of, that they really have. The last time we saw the Guardians was in the Thor movie, and we don't actually know what they've been doing between then and now.
No,
like, we're going to check this out, and then like, I mean, that in the movie, but it's just weird in my mind. It's like, what happened between the movies?
They've been off guardianing.
I think wasn't there a holiday special in between
Thor:
Love and Thunder and
that's Bacon to give Star-Lord a Christmas present.
He has a sister now.
I mean, well,
so funny.
also remember that Guardians 3 underwent a lot of delays, mainly because of Marvel's knee-jerk reaction of temporarily firing James Gunn.
Yeah.
And then when they realized their mistake, by then DC had scooped up James Gunn. He was doing like the Suicide Squad for them. He was gearing up to become the new president of DC Films. So he had to undergo his first obligations to DC before he could go back to do Guardians.
Yeah. I will say holiday special is not necessary to understand what's going on here, though it is, as I recall, where we find out that Mantis and Star-Lord are half siblings.
But it's ridiculous. That's not important to Guardians 3.
It's not hugely important. But it's a ridiculously funny, like, half-hour special, and God's love Kevin Bacon for going along with it. Like, he was willing to play the stupidest version of himself and get kidnapped by the Guardians of the Galaxy. God bless him. It's one of the two best things I know about him, the other of which being that he pays wedding DJs $20 to not play Footloose at weddings. If I were a wedding DJ, I'd try to get up a bidding war. But you don't actually have to have watched the holiday special. There's no Marvel TV show that's necessary to understand what's going on with Guardians 3. What's going on with Guardians 3 is they are guardianing, and then Rocket gets injured. And you kind of have to know some of the Infinity War stuff with Gamora, and how Gamora is dead in a freaking stupid way that shouldn't have worked, but that's a previous rant. And that there is time travel shenaniganery Gamora floating around. And Peter has not dealt with his feelings about her. Because repressed feelings, thy name is Peter Quill. And it's a fun movie. You know, I liked this movie. The stuff with Rocket's past makes me cry.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a movie crier, so, you know.
Small thing, this is also happens to be the very first MCU movie to use an F-bomb.
It is. And it was decided on set, like, randomly that they were going to do it.
They wanted to beat Deadpool and Wolverine to the punch.
Mm-hmm. The one spoiler I'm going to give is that I'm so glad that Peter and Gamora don't end up together.
Yeah.
That would have been a terrible choice. Having Gamora find a life for herself somewhere away from the Guardians was the right choice.
Because basically she has a different history than the one we knew before.
Yeah, she's a different person starting from years before the events of this movie. The other two Guardians movies are supposed to take place pretty much sequentially. Even though there's movies in between the two of them, the movies are set one immediately following the other. This one is set in its actual place in the MCU timeline. So all of the events that have taken place since the first Guardians movie have taken place since this movie.
Yeah, I think if I remember from Endgame, the Gamora from there takes place right at the beginning of Guardians 1, when before she went to the planet to get captured and thrown in jail.
Yeah, so this is a Gamora for whom nothing from about the first 15 minutes of Guardians 1 happened to. She's a completely different person. And yeah, she's not the Gamora she was at the beginning of that movie. But she's also not the Gamora who the Guardians knew at the point at which she died.
Yeah, who has helped them escape from jail, who ran from the guard, who helped. It's different. Again, timeline splitting.
Yeah. Who you are doesn't just rely on one moment. You know, there's a whole bunch of things that have happened. This Gamora is younger, if you think about it. Because she didn't live those intervening years. They went back and got her. And it's a whole different thing.
Yeah, when Thanos went to the future, he brought her with her.
Yeah.
With her.
And having her fall in love with Peter, who having the other one fall in love with Peter was straining credulity enough. It just would have been wrong. I don't like Peter very much.
I mean, he's the reason why friggin' the snap happened when you think about it.
He is. He absolutely is. And part of it is I don't much like Chris Pratt. But a lot of it is the character is such a child. He's so insufferable and such a man-child.
I think we brought that up when we first started because he grew up as a child.
Yeah. You know, he didn't have anybody parenting him. There was nobody there to help him mature and develop, so he didn't. You know, he wasn't actually raised by wolves, but not too far off.
He was raised by not even the Ravagers, but like a branch of the Ravagers.
Yeah. And I'm done. I'm good. I don't ever need to see, and they say that we're going to see him again later, and I really don't look forward to it.
Like, if we leave him off, he finally goes back home and meets his grandfather.
Yeah, which the fact that he'd never thought to do that, I think, tells you a lot about him. He still thinks, in this movie, he makes it clear that he still thinks humans die at the age of about 50.
So are you almost dead then?
Yeah, I apparently am going to die next year, so it's been nice knowing all of you.
Oh my god.
Alternately, my mother is 82 now. But anyway.
But actually, that was a funny moment, I gotta say, when Nan's like, are you almost dead?
Yes. How old do you think I am? Yeah, no. Older than I am, I know that for sure. But it's I genuinely think of the heroes of the MCU, Star-Lord is my least favorite. He's probably, like, I find Thor kind of boring, but I actively dislike Star-Lord.
So who was the final? I forget. I kind of phased out the last part. Who are the new Guardians?
Rocket, Groot, Adam Warlock.
One of the kids they rescued from the ship.
I think the dog.
Yeah, Cosmo.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not a dog person. I love the whole thing with Cosmo wanting what's his name to take back calling her a bad dog. That's adorable. Like, it's such an earnest dog. Like, she cares so much about being called a bad girl. It's the most insulting thing you can call her. I think it's adorable. But by and large, you know, we'll see how things go in the next movie. Nebula's actually gonna try to build something, which I think is great for her. I think she needs that.
Yeah, and
Um,
there won't be any more just Drax because the
yeah,
actor.
Dave Bautista says Drax's story is done, and I agree. Mantis and her creatures may or may not be back, but she's off figuring out who she is as a person, which I love that they agreed that that's important. You know, she spent her whole life being who Ego wanted her to be and then who the Guardians wanted her to be, and now she needs to find out who she is. And I love that. Like, so many of the characters in that movie are making such mature choices, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, like I said, Gamora stayed at the Ravagers, and Peter went back home.
Yeah. So, and they agreed that Rocket, now that he's, you know, dealt with his past and settled and matured a bit, is the best leader for the Guardians.
Yeah, and Groot is big. Groot is big now.
Groot is very big. Also, towards the end of the movie, Groot says, "I love you guys," and we hear, "I love you guys." And word of God is, as you get to know Groot, you start to understand what he means by "I am Groot." And we, the audience, now know Groot well enough so we understood.
I think that was the implication with him and Rocket the whole time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but like James Gunn has said that's what was going on.
Yeah.
And that's why none of them reacted when he told them he loved them. Or like, oh my God.
Hello? That was weird.
Oh dear.
What happened?
We disconnected for a minute there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I forget what Groot it is, but I think they called him, I think it was King Groot or something. Or Emperor, I forget what it was, but Groot had different forms. That was one of his new forms.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So, all right. So we went from a terrible film to terrible film to an awesome film.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Next, this one I do like, but this one did need might need a little backstory, and that was the Marvels.
Yeah, this one you do kind of need to see a TV show to get.
Maybe
two.
You need to see Ms. Marvel, and I don't know if you really need to see WandaVision. I think they give you enough information.
Not WandaVision, Secret Invasion.
Oh, I haven't seen Secret Invasion.
Because that's about the Skrulls.
Yeah, I know, but I still haven't watched it because I heard it was bad.
Yeah.
So I didn't watch it, and I understood the movie just fine. I think it's a great movie. So I would argue you do not need to see Secret Invasion because I have not.
But yeah, but they will take place afterwards.
I think if you've seen Captain Marvel, that and the information that they give you in the movie itself, you've got enough going on about the Skrulls, you know what's happening. I could be wrong about that, but that was how I felt watching the movie.
So
on the other hand, to know who Kamala Khan is, you do have to have seen Ms. Marvel. That explains like all of it.
Was that the character or actress that said that screw Kevin Feige, we are in 1111 19999?
I mean, it's in character for Ms. Marvel. It's in character for Ms. Marvel. It's not just in character
for Ms. Marvel. It's in character for the actress.
Yeah.
The actress has written comics that are actually published by Marvel. She is probably the biggest comic books nerd in the entire MCU, and I love her.
I mean, they cast her perfectly for the part.
They really did. They
Yeah.
really, and not just because she's great, but because she basically, in many ways, is Kamala Khan. And like Brie Larson read Captain Marvel comics on the set of Captain Marvel, which I always really liked. But man, she's got nothing. I can't remember her name, and I feel bad, but since this is the only thing she's ever really done that I know,
it's like my introduction to Ms. Marvel, well, the current one, that is, because there was a time when Captain Marvel was Ms. Marvel.
yes.
And so the new Ms. Marvel, I didn't get introduced to until the game Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, where she's a playable character. Like, they introduced her with Miles Morales and Spider-Gwen, like the teenagers of the group.
Iman
And
Vellani.
yes, that is. But yeah, so all I knew about, well, the thing with Ms. Marvel is that her powers in the MCU are wildly different from what she has in everything else.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah, like basically in the comics and like the games and whatnot, she's just basically Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah, but like I said, it doesn't bother me hugely because,
well, they give her own unique identity in the MCU with like what she can do.
Yeah, and that's great, and I approve of that. But also, like, comics continuity is such a snarl. I don't even freaking care. But Sam Wilson can talk to birds in the comics. It's fine. But in the TV show of Ms. Marvel, a teenage Muslim girl from Jersey City who's obsessed with Captain Marvel puts on her grandmother's bangle and develops superpowers. Her grandmother was an Eternal.
I did not know that.
Funny, because in the comics, Ms. Marvel's connected to the Inhumans.
Yeah.
But, with how they did Inhumans.
Have their own MCU history. We will not speak of them again.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah, canonically in the MCU, her grandmother was an Eternal. She's got her grandmother's bangle, which gives her powers. And it's this whole thing having to do with the division of India and Pakistan, which is messy history.
So did we meet her grandmother in that last movie, Phase 4?
No, I don't think so. I think her grandmother is canonically dead, but it's been a while since I've watched the show, so I don't remember 100% what the details were. Mostly I remember the train station scene, and that's some really intense stuff. But at the beginning of this movie, one of the Kree digs up the other bangle because they're a matched pair, and plans to use the bangle not just to fix her homeworld, but also to make Captain Marvel pay for making poor choices. Unfortunately, because of the connection of the bangles and energy shenaniganery, it doesn't really matter. Captain Marvel, Ms. Marvel, and Monica Rambeau start switching places when one or the other of them uses their powers. And so they've got to figure that out before they can do anything. But they kind of have to do that because otherwise multiple worlds are going to be destroyed, including a little one we like to call Earth.
Yeah, we got to deal with two issues too. One of them, Monica is not hating, but mad.
Monica's pissed. Monica grew up with Carol Danvers' Aunt Carol. Her mom died while Monica was blipped, and Monica hasn't seen Carol since Carol left at the end of Captain Marvel.
And the other character is fangirling. Oh.
Yeah. Kamala has always been a Captain Marvel fangirl, and it's not changed by the fact that she's now meeting her hero. She does learn to deal with it, and I love the line about how she needed to leave her room to be a person. But yeah, there's a lot going on. And the Khan family is just, they're so great. I love them so much. And also, Goose is still around and is having some issues. Eats large amounts of the Khan's living room. And it turns out is laying eggs all over the space station. Which eventually leads to the funniest scene in the movie, which I actually called my non-superhero liking son to come and watch with me because it's just that funny.
Them eating everybody?
Mm-hmm. Especially with Barbara Streisand crooning Memory from the musical Cats at us. I love it. It's so funny. And the loudspeaker announcement, "Do not be alarmed, let the Flurkins eat you." So great. I love that scene. My son did too, so.
But yeah, except that part there is of your past coming back to haunt you again.
Mm-hmm. Because Captain Marvel made a mistake. And looks like her mistake is going to doom a civilization. And she still hasn't figured out how to fix it. And so somebody else is going to, in a way that's going to doom at least 3 other civilizations. Because they are all planets where Captain Marvel cares about people.
Yeah. It's weird that they think different places, an atmosphere from one, water from another one, and then sun from the third. They can't think of all from the same planet.
Oh, she could. But that would hurt fewer people that Captain Marvel cares about. It's pure cruelty. No, it's not about... I mean, finding water in the galaxy is not difficult. Finding atmospheres is more challenging, and I am not enough of an astronomer or astrophysicist to know about the challenge of finding the right kind of stars. But certainly finding water in the universe is trivially easy. Once you find somewhere that's not just empty space. Water is probably one of the most common compounds in the universe.
So what was your opinion about the singing planet?
It was cute. I liked her dress.
You can tell like the different thing. Kamal was all into it.
Mm-hmm.
Monica was like, "What's happening?" And Carol was like, "This like, okay, I'm here now."
Yeah. Carol was kind of embarrassed by the whole thing. Like it objectively doesn't make sense, but I still thought it was cute.
So I don't understand how her destroying that computer destroyed their son.
It's never made clear, but I suspect that part of the computer's power was going to holding back problems that were already happening. Because they'd been fighting a war for a very, very long time, and it took up a lot of resources, and like, I'm purely spitballing because they never really explain it. The official answer is because reasons.
Yeah, could be. Besides this movie, I think this the because really it's yeah, the Marvels movie, we see them in the first Guardians movie, and the place we see the Kree are in the 8 inches of Shield.
Yeah, which I've only watched some of.
We don't know much, so we don't know much about the Kree, but apparently, and also the Kree are the people that created the Humans, so that's all we know about them really from the MCU.
Yeah, and there's probably a reason. We may or may not ever get to know it, but it's one of those things where it's clear that their civilization had been reliant on this technology for a really long time. And somehow destroying the technology screwed up their civilization, including environmentally. And it's an unintended consequence. That's what we know. So, yeah.
I also like where they where Kamala's trying to save everyone, and Carol's like, save who we can, and that kind of really for a while warps her hero for a bit.
It's like a never meet your heroes moment.
Yeah. And, Carol is being practical. They can't save everyone. But that doesn't make it hurt less that her hero can't save everyone.
That's the thing. I think the thing about the young heroes and the established wisdom heroes. It's like the younger ones are all about hope. And like we can do it. But the older ones have lived through this, and they know that you gotta pick your battles.
Yeah. And we'll get to more of my feelings about this later, but there are no therapists in the MCU.
Unless Mantis starts a thing,
which she very well could, but she's the closest we've got. Imagine how different practically everything could have been if Tony had been in therapy.
And then wrap it up with a cameo.
That was the big thing that got me excited in the theater, even though lots of other people I don't think were. Yeah. I don't know if we should give it away here. It's just, yeah.
We'll go 2 cameos technically. I did not know, or was the person that played her mother in the other movie, in the Fox movies too?
No.
So I don't know if she had been. I remember watching the X-Men movies. So I don't know if the actress that played her mom was one of the characters.
No, the character's not in the other movies.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. I guess you said it. They basically they set up more multiverse stuff by revealing a universe similar to the 20th Century X-Men universe. And from what we can see, this will be followed up on in Doomsday.
Yeah, it's canonically not the same universe.
Yeah, like, it's all the same actors, but they're a little more comic accurate from what I can tell, because the 20th Century X-Men movies were famously not very comic accurate. At least with the suits.
Well, there's that line in the first one is, would you prefer yellow spandex?
Uh-huh.
Which I laughed at. I'm not gonna lie. I saw that movie opening weekend and I laughed. But it was such a weird day for me. I broke up with a boyfriend and then we still went and saw the X-Men together because we've both been looking forward to it so much. But we'll see how it all ties in. I honestly have been less committed to the idea of we need the X-Men in the MCU than a lot of other people, because I've always thought that one of the great strengths of the MCU was that it doesn't necessarily have the characters everyone thinks should be part of it. But we'll see how
they did want to flex that they can use X-Men in Fantastic Four finally, so
they really did.
Yeah.
I still haven't watched the new Fantastic Four movie. I'm probably going to get to it like next week or something.
Yeah.
But the joke I've been making with my friends is it'll be the first Fantastic Four movie I'll ever have actually watched.
Well, yeah, because it was the first one that was actually good.
Yeah. One of my friends was like, oh yeah, I saw the Josh Trank one. I'm like, oh, is that Fan Four Stick? She's like, yeah. She says, don't watch it. I said, I wasn't planning to. She said, no, but I have to say it anyway because it's such a strong feeling. I'm like, that's fair.
But speaking of Fantastic Four, which brings us to the next movie.
Okay. I'm going to get this out of the way right now. I didn't watch this. I have not seen this movie. I'm not going to see this movie.
It was just funny that I said we talked about this on Discord that you have seen the first two. I have not seen the first two.
I never got to add to it. I've seen all three of them in theaters.
I saw the first one in the theater with my partner. And here's the thing. I don't like Deadpool much as a character. And I don't like Ryan Reynolds much as an actor. And I thought that the first Deadpool movie was probably the best Deadpool movie starring Ryan Reynolds we were gonna get. And then I saw the second one at home for free, and I felt I had paid just about the right amount for it. And the third one came out, and I said, nah, I'm good. And then I heard that they made it part of the MCU, and I said, nah, I'm still good.
Yeah.
So I have not seen it. I don't intend to see it.
But my favorite part about this movie was the fact they brought back Chris Evans as the Human Torch.
Yeah,
that is objectively funny. I was looking over the cast because I did add everyone from it who deserves to be onto my MCU Oscars BAFTA database. Which, side note, we are now up to 122 people.
Yeah. They also brought...
And I believe the only movie in the MCU that did not add people onto the database is Thunderbolts. There are 5 people on the database from this movie, and I put an asterisk next to all of their names.
Yeah. They also brought back Elektra from the
Ben Affleck Daredevil and her own horrible spin-off movie.
Oh god, that movie's bad. Jennifer Garner.
They brought back Blade.
They brought back Wesley Snipes as Blade, which I went into the theater not knowing, and I was really excited when I saw that.
Wonder how Mahershala Ali feels about it.
Oh, there is a joke in the movie that kind of pokes fun at Marvel's inability to make his Blade movie.
Yeah.
So they're about to storm the compound, like for like the big climactic fight, and so Blade grabs hold of a rocket launcher, and there's an offhanded comment noting it was from Punisher, and then Deadpool's like, "Which Punisher? There's been like 3 of them."
There have.
And actually 4, but
Yeah, well.
yeah, but and then Blade follows up that comment with, "There's only been one Blade. There's only ever going to be one Blade." And then Deadpool kind of gives a knowing look at the camera.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, see, they brought back. I think it's the same actor that was in the last Wolverine movie.
They brought back X-23 from Logan.
Yeah.
And also, they brought in Channing Tatum as Gambit, which was a big mythology gag because when 20th Century was still making X-Men movies, there was a Gambit movie starring Channing Tatum that they were trying to get off the ground, and they never did by the time of the Disney buyout. So this was... Yeah, so this was finally giving Channing Tatum the chance to play the character. And he is coming back in Doomsday as Gambit.
Yeah, we learned from the movie that the Deadpool universe is not the MCU universe, but he wants to go to the MCU universe for reasons.
Yeah. I would like to interject that there is one person on the database who I feel should have 2 asterisks because he won an Oscar that I don't think he deserves. Matthew McConaughey is in this movie. He won for Dallas Buyers Club, which is an objectively terrible movie, and Chiwetel Ejiofor should have won. That is all.
I don't even know what Dallas Buyers Club is.
It's a terrible, historically inaccurate movie about the early days of... historically and scientifically movie about the early days of the AIDS epidemic, starring Matthew McConaughey, Jared Leto, and Jennifer Garner. It's very bad. It beat 12 Years a Slave for Best Actor.
Okay.
Yeah. Does Jillian have feelings? Jillian could spend hours telling you about her feelings, but we ain't got time for that.
And we learned that, I guess we learned that Xavier has a sister that I never knew about.
Yeah, I don't know much about that character from the comics. The only thing I know is that the actor playing the character was non-binary.
I know the sister is mentioned in the 90s TV show, but I haven't watched it all the way through in a long time, so I don't remember much beyond that.
Basically, the problem of the movie is someone's trying to destroy universes.
Like, basically, the whole thing with Deadpool and Wolverine is that Deadpool like wants to join what's called the Sacred Timeline, aka the MCU, and it literally opens with him basically applying to join the Avengers, and he's interviewed by Happy Hogan. Jon Favreau is in this movie. And Happy turns him down, and Deadpool slumps into a depression.
Oh, and
as a result.
We bring back the TVA.
Yes, the TVA's in this movie, and they offer to have Deadpool join the Sacred Timeline if he works for them. But you know what? I kind of forgot what it is they wanted him to do.
I read a summary. I think they want him to rescue Wolverine.
No. Oh, I know what happened. Basically, they want Deadpool to join the Sacred Timeline, aka the MCU, because his timeline, of the Deadpool universe, it's dying. Because basically, they sort of bring in a canon event kind of thing, like from Spider-Verse, where there's like this I forget the specific term, but there is a specific person that holds the universes together, each universe together.
Right.
And when that person dies, the universe slowly unravels until it's just nothing. And for Deadpool, that person was Wolverine. And because Wolverine died in Logan, so basically Deadpool doesn't want his universe to die, so he searches the multiverse for some kind of Wolverine variant that he can bring back and say, well, we have a Wolverine now, the universe doesn't have to die.
Wow. Sure, okay.
He, quote-unquote, gets the worst possible Wolverine he could have got. Because this Wolverine is a drunken mess because he screwed up and got a bunch of the X-Men killed. And
they do a little montage of the Wolverine.
Yeah, one of the Wolverine variants he comes across is played by Henry Cavill.
That I looked over the IMDb page for the cast because of, my project. The cast looks really good. I don't like Deadpool.
So, yeah, and the TVA obviously isn't having Deadpool shit, so they banished Deadpool and the Wolverine he took into, I think it's called the Void. Basically, it's where all the dead Marvel universes, basically all the dead Marvel movie universes have gone to die. That's why Elektra's there, that's why Blade is there, that's why Punisher's implied to be, the old, Thomas Jane, Ray Stevenson Punishers were implied to be there. That's why Chris Evans' Human Torch is there. That's where, one of the first things you see when they get to the Void is the 20th Century Fox logo. This giant, statue of the logo just all crumbled.
Yeah.
Yeah, the movie's whole thing is that it celebrates Marvel movies of old. It acknowledges, with everything, with 20th Century being folded into Disney, that era of Marvel movies is probably never coming back. It celebrates those movies even with all their flaws in mind.
A lot of the pre-MCU Marvel movies were in fact very bad.
Mm-hmm.
To the extent that I have been a comic books fan so long that my earliest memory of the house I grew up in is reading Spider-Man in my bedroom. I was probably 5. I still haven't seen a lot of the pre-MCU Marvel movies because a lot of them were very bad. I mean, yes, I also saw Spider-Man 3 in the theater, so I did see some of the bad ones too. I've seen Deadpool, or not, I have seen Deadpool, but I've seen Daredevil, I've seen Elektra, I've seen some of the good ones and some of the bad ones.
Yeah, it's weird. Before the MCU, DC was the good product, but after the MCU, the DC movies start getting worse, in my opinion.
Well, even then, DC, all they had was Batman and Superman on movie, anyway, at least the good ones.
There were other DC movies. It's just that, they sank without a trace.
Steel being the big one.
Huh?
Steel being the big one.
Oh yeah.
The Batman and Robin was not the only DC movie of 1997 that almost killed comic book movies.
One of my favorite George Clooney moments is the time he was asked if he'd ever met Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he responded with, "Yes, we almost killed the Batman franchise together."
On that note, it was reported that if you ran into George Clooney in the street and you told him you saw Batman and Robin in theaters, he would personally refund you.
Joel Schumacher would apologize if you said you had liked Batman Forever, but not Batman and Robin. I saw Batman Forever in the theater twice and have never seen Batman and Robin.
Only thing I remember from Batman and Robin was, I think I had at the time I had a crush on the actress that played Batgirl.
Alicia Silverstone.
I've seen Batman and Robin, and admittedly, it is a very stupid movie, but you know what? It kind of loops being ironically fun.
I would say that the biggest problem with Batman Forever is Jim Carrey, who is more playing the Joker than the Riddler.
Mm-hmm.
And Tommy Lee Jones, we all weary of his tomfoolery.
I know he and Jim Carrey did not get along on the set of that movie.
Did not.
Yeah. And I don't think he was really I don't think he played I don't think he played a good Two-Face. He was more comedic than
he was a lot more.
That was the script. Let's be fair to Tommy Lee Jones.
That was the assignment.
Yeah, the script has one moment that lets him really be a good Two-Face, and in that moment he sells it. Where he's talking to, it's near the very end of the movie, he's talking to Bruce about how they'd always been friends and this, that, and the other thing.
Right.
As a serious person, and it's a good, meaningful moment. But it does also come something like 5 minutes after the Holy Rusted Metal Batman joke. So
and it also comes right before Two-Face gets killed off. So
yeah, like, I like that movie, but it's got some tonal issues.
Yeah, I think they did Two-Face better in the second of the trilogy.
In the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Yes, they absolutely did.
I do have a question though. Did the She-Hulk series come out before or after Disney bought Fox?
Oh, after.
Yeah, after.
This is weird because at the end they treat She-Hulk's character like Deadpool's character.
Well, that's kind of what She-Hulk was in the comics too.
I was gonna say that's fairly canonical. She-Hulk breaks the fourth wall a lot.
Oh.
She does not take herself at all seriously. She is a smarter, more, let's say, less sociopathic Deadpool in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I did not know that.
Yeah.
That she was also a Deadpool breaking the fourth wall character.
There's a panel I've seen where she's literally climbing out of the panel to try to yell at the writer.
I take back my criticism then, because I did not know that.
That is absolutely in character for She-Hulk as established in the comics.
Yeah.
Again, with my standard caveat about comics continuity.
So was the whole dead Marvel movies the thing was that mean the bring back your forgotten past thing of this movie?
I mean, probably. You know, one of the reasons I didn't watch this movie, other than the established not liking Deadpool or Ryan Reynolds, is that it really felt to me like they were shoehorning it into the MCU. Just like, we're going to cram Deadpool in whether it makes sense or not.
There's conflicting reports if Deadpool's going to have an appearance in Doomsday.
I mean, we'll find out, but...
Like, right now, the one bit of relevance that Deadpool and Wolverine has to the MCU, at least for Doomsday, well, I guess the TVA's actions might be brought up because we know Loki's going to be in, but the only other connection is Gambit's going to be in the movie. In Doomsday, that is.
Huh.
I mean, it's funny because one of the mid-credit scenes of Deadpool and Wolverine, I think, they show that Gambit is still going. They focus on Gambit specifically like in the area where the last fight takes place. Well, not the last fight in the void.
Okay, at this point, have they already decided to change the King Chronicles to the Doomsday yet, or is that not happened?
No, by now they had changed it to Doomsday.
Yeah, in the middle of Phase 5, like, you know what? We're going to change our whole plans.
I have feelings.
But speaking of bringing back forgotten characters, Brave New World.
And funnily enough, that's one of the only things I really like about this movie. Yeah. So post events of Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, Falcon the Winter Soldier is required for this one.
Sam Wilson has taken the shield back from the truly odious John Walker, who we'll get to again. Christ, I hate that. Like, no offense to Wyatt Russell, who I know nothing bad about, and he seems like a very talented actor, but Christ, I hate that character. Anyway, Sam's taken back the shield and is now the official Captain America using Wakandan technology.
And he's got
for reasons that have to do with Falcon and Winter Soldier.
And he's got a new Falcon.
We've got a new Falcon. Who's a very nice, very sweet guy. And we have a new president. Speaking of recasting, we have now President Thunderbolt Ross. Unfortunately, William Hurt had come down with a minor case of being dead and has been replaced with Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Objectively a step up. I liked William Hurt, but seriously, it's not much of a contest. The joke that you were intended to find funny was Sam saying that Ross had a new look, to which Ross replies that his advisors told him that he could keep the mustache, or he could have the mustache or the election. I thought instead that they had not been able to persuade Harrison Ford to wear that mustache for the length of a movie. And so I laughed at that part. So post events of the Eternals, remember the Eternals?
This is the movie that follows up on Eternals.
There's a new substance in the MCU called adamantium, which Marvel fans have heard that name a time or two.
If you're not a fan that's heard of it, it's what Wolverine's made out of.
Well, it is what Wolverine has had injected into his bones.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an argument. I think about what's the stronger, what's the more powerful, adamantium or vibranium. They go back and forth.
Adamantium versus vibranium is one of those arguments I have no interest in litigating any more than I care about who could beat up who. Except when it comes to the Superman versus Batman, because the answer is Batman, because Batman keeps kryptonite. Anyway, that's just objectively a fact. But the point is, Sam stops a theft of some adamantium from Giancarlo Esposito, playing the Sidewinder. And he's being thanked for this by being brought to the White House to celebrate, with people with whom there's going to be a treaty about adamantium. And he brings Isaiah Butler, who you will know if you watched Falcon and Winter Soldier. And if you didn't, which many people did not, he was experimented on in prison in the hopes of being the next Captain America while Steve was on ice. He's got him some feelings about the U.S. government, but it's not every day you get invited to the White House. The problem is he's being mind controlled and he shoots at General Ross and ends up in prison. So Sam's got to figure out what's going on and incidentally get his friend who's got some issues about being locked in prison out of prison.
Yeah, it's weird though that I don't know if they have the same rules as the current president, but you 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 you'd think the Secret Service would be all over that, but they weren't.
Well, the Secret Service was there, but there were multiple shooters. It's a very confused scene. It's not shot very well, and it's easy to miss a lot of these details.
Oh. And then we also get a cameo from Bucky.
Yes, Bucky is now a congressman. For Brooklyn, because of course. And so it turns out that after the events of The Incredible Hulk, remember The Incredible Hulk? I saw it in the theater.
Yeah, this one follows up heavily on the 2008 Hulk, which had a lot of unresolved things about it.
It did, because they recast. Samuel Stearns, at the end of that movie, gets dosed in, gamma radiation and so forth, and things are going wonky with him, and it turns out that General Ross has had him in a cell this whole time and has been using him to get what he wants.
I will say, even though Brave New World is pretty flawed.
Oh, deeply flawed.
Tim Blake Nelson as Samuel Stearns, aka the leader, he's probably one of the best parts of the movie.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
I have a personal issue with Tim Blake Nelson, which is not his fault. But the first thing I think I saw him in was Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And therefore, when I currently see him, I am unable to not think that he thought People was a toad. That's on me. Nothing to do with him. But he is a very talented actor. He is doing very good work here. And to his credit, he insisted on physical makeup.
Mm-hmm.
That head is not CGI. And more power.
He had been waiting over a decade to play that character.
He had been waiting a long time. And they brought him back, and he was very happy and very excited. He insisted that it needed to be physical makeup because people needed to react to it in the moment. I love Tim Blake Nelson, even if he did think People was a toad. And Harrison Ford is doing really good work with what he's being given, because it turns out that he is slowly and methodically being poisoned and deliberately having certain substances like gamma radiation in a pill, because sure, introduced into his body. Because the end game is to have the president, and this is not a spoiler because it's on the goddamn poster, being turned into the Red Hulk.
Yeah.
Apparently, a big point of this movie is he's still having issues with his daughter over what happened in the Hulk movie.
He still hasn't atoned. That's his big thing. He still hasn't made amends for his actions over the course of, 15 years of movie time?
Yeah.
The only embarrassment he had was when he created the Accords.
Yeah, he thought that creating the Accords was going to fix everything, which of course it wouldn't. For a lot of reasons that if you stop to think for 5 minutes together, you would know. Neither General Ross nor Tony Stark ever being big on forethought, it's not surprising that neither of them came up with the list. He has not been able to make amends with his daughter. I suspect because he's never truly apologized to her for his responsibility in everything that's happened in her life. They don't say that, but I suspect it's true. From what we know of the character, it only makes sense.
Yeah.
And he's able to win the presidency on, but I've changed. And
At least in the public eye, he's changed, not in the private.
well, speaking as a voter, I don't know how much I would care. I can't see voting for him in a primary with his past and his history unless he showed, solid, demonstrable atonement.
Well, that's probably what he used the leader for.
Yeah. So, yeah.
To make people think he's changed. Like do this and people will like you. Like, okay.
Yeah. It's just hard to think of what he could have done that would have won me over, but I don't know. And I have to admit that I make assumptions about Ross's political party based on him being played by Harrison Ford.
Yeah, they never say what his party is, but
they never do. And I think what would win me over as a voter is not necessarily what would win all voters over. I think there are a lot of voters who, so long as he promised to hit trans people and immigrants, wouldn't care what he did. So there's that. Anyway, the problem with this movie is the script. Like, there's a scene where they're breaking, where Sam and the New Falcon are breaking into Base Echo 1 where Samuel Stearns is being held, and there is absolutely no tension built or earned in that scene. There's one brief moment where they're having difficulty picking a lock, and that's it. That's all of the suspense in their breaking into a secured federal prison. So secret that planes won't even fly over it.
So was that supposed to be irony that the leader turned Ross into Ross's greatest mistake, the Hulk?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't even know what this movie's trying to do half the time. Some of what it's trying to do does make a certain sort of in-universe sense. They do have to figure out what the hell they're going to do about that island in the middle of the Indian Ocean. Like, that's a real problem that's really going to cause geopolitical issues.
Yeah.
But 90% of the interpersonal stuff in this movie makes no sense. Nobody's motivations feel real. There is one change I would really like to applaud them for. There's a character who in the comic books is a Mossad agent. And she's now a former Black Widow. And I think we can all agree that that's a better choice. Both because that's some damn fine world building, and because, please no, a character who canonically killed Palestinians, I think would be a poor choice.
Yeah, wasn't one of his Secret Service agents also Black Widow?
Probably.
Or was that the Mossad agent? I'm confused.
Well, it's the... God, I don't even remember what her character is. She's like Secretary of State or something. Okay, she's somebody. The very, very short woman.
Yeah, I thought she was like a Secret Service or bodyguard.
No. She's someone in the cabinet.
Okay. Because Mossad would be an Israel government, not an American government.
Yeah, Mossad is Israeli Special Forces.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm really glad they changed her backstory. Also, the original title of this movie was New World Order, which does not have connotations that we should be worried about in this day and age in any way, shape, or form. Like, just because I'm glad they're not celebrating the Israeli government doesn't mean I think we need the anti-Semitic dog whistle, you know?
Mhm.
There's a middle road we could be walking. Let's do that.
So yeah.
But mostly this movie is just flat. It's not actively bad the way Quantumania is. It's not like the characters feel wrong. I mean, Thunderbolt Ross is a little weird to me because it is an awfully quick turnaround, but I suppose it's not necessarily in MCU time. I don't know. But boy, this movie never gels. And part of that is apparently they were doing a lot of stuff with the script behind the scenes, and they kept changing the movie's plans every 6 months or so and still made it come out on its initial release date. But
But yeah. All right. Finally, this is I think besides phase 1, this is the shortest movie of the movies.
yeah.
We bring up the Thunderbolts, which when I first heard this movie, I thought it was a follow up. I thought the name came from the president because it was Thunderbolt Ross. I thought that's where the name came from.
No, but I think where it actually comes from is adorable. But it turns out it was the name of Yelena's Pee-wee soccer team when they were still living in Ohio. It's the cutest thing. So Yelena has been working for Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. That's the full name.
Yeah, we saw her in the Widow movie.
Yeah. And she is she's sketchy. She's in the process of being impeached as director of the CIA, except impeachment doesn't really work the way they're showing it in this movie, but never mind, who cares? It's not really something that goes to subcommittees first, but whatever. Not important. She is tying up loose ends, which means it's a bad time for Yelena to decide she doesn't like her job anymore. And she sends Yelena to go take care of somebody who's down in a sub-basement.
And so, and also for three people had the same job.
Yeah. Well, yes and no. They've all been told to take care of one another. Which it takes Yelena way longer to realize what's going on than it would have taken me. Like, a friend of mine is like, one person is a coincidence. 4 people, no.
So do you remember the order of who's put to kill who?
Let's see. She was supposed to kill Ghost, whose first appearance is in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah.
Ghost is supposed to kill John Walker, I think is the order.
Mm-hmm.
The failed Captain America from Falcon and Winter Soldier. And Walker is supposed to kill
Taskmaster?
I can't remember that character's name.
I think it's was it Taskmaster from the Black Widow movie?
I know Taskmaster appears in that scene. I just don't know in what order.
Yeah, it's what's his name's daughter. He's supposed to kill her. And she, well, I'll believe it when I don't see her in future movies, but she actually gets killed.
Yeah, and that's one thing about the marketing. They play up Taskmaster as like part of the Thunderbolts like main lineup. Like she appears like in like later scenes and whatnot. No, she dies in the first set piece she appears in.
Yeah. And while they are in the process of doing all of this, they open a sealed box that has a guy named Bob in it. Who's Bob? They don't know. He's some guy.
And to discuss him would be going into spoiler territory.
Yeah. He's some guy who's seen Emperor's New Groove. That I will say.
I approve.
Because I do too. They managed to... The room has been set so that Ava can't get out of it, but they break the thing that's keeping Ava out of it, so she gets out and she opens the door and lets them all out. And then there's the power to the elevator's been cut, so they don't know how they're gonna get out, and Walker thinks he's just gonna jump, except he can't actually jump that high. And Bob has the idea that they're all gonna be back to back and walk up the shaft, which is how I know he's seen Emperor's New Groove. Except he hadn't figured out how they were going to get out of the shaft, so that was exciting, and they nearly die. And then by the time they actually managed to get out, Valentina's got, a squad there, but she doesn't want to kill them for reasons that would be spoilers. And they manage to escape, but Bob doesn't. And what with one thing and another, they kind of end up saving New York. Obviously I'm skipping a lot.
Yeah.
But it's a good movie.
It is. But not only is it fun to watch, it's a rare superhero movie that has a positive message about mental health issues.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. When they're initially talking down in the sub-basement, Yelena tells Bob that he needs to push all of his emotions down inside and keep pushing them down and not acknowledge them. And at the end of the movie admits that she was wrong. And you can't do that, or it only gets worse. And, I was thinking about it. And obviously Yelena needs therapy. Yelena needs, all the therapy. Really, the entire team needs therapy. And, Alexei, who's Yelena's quote-unquote father from Black Widow, isn't going to get therapy because the only reason he doesn't believe he's God's gift to humanity is that he's a Soviet and therefore presumably an atheist. And I think that Walker's got too much toxic masculinity going to get therapy. But I think if someone explained the concept to Yelena, she'd go for it. Yeah. There's a scene towards the end, but not all the way to the end of the movie, where Yelena and Alexei are finally having out their feelings about the fact that Alexei didn't come and be with Yelena after her sister died. And, I'm watching this, and it's a very moving moment. But they're having it in costume, in their outfits, their faces cut up and looking battered and so forth, on a street corner in New York. And nobody is looking at them. And I thought to myself, this is not just because it's their universe. This would be true in our universe too. Nobody in New York would give these people a second look. But it is a really important scene because Yelena has consistently been denied the chance to really grieve. You know, she thinks that if she keeps working, then that's what she actually needs. But she doesn't really like her job. She doesn't want to keep being, you know, secret black ops shooting people. She wants to be a hero.
Yeah, I think the only bad part about the movie was at the end they're like these are new adventures, and then they had this whole thing about copyright infringement at the end.
I did think that was kind of funny, I have to say, because it is true that they kind of set up, you know, at the end of Brave New World, they set up that Sam was going to start up New Avengers, and suddenly these guys are New Avengers, and so there would be this whole, like, because they don't know they're in a comic book universe and can have multiple teams, it's fine.
Oh, speaking of multiple teams, I forgot to mention this in the Marvels. At the end, Kamala she went to recruit the new Hawkeye, and she even mentioned Cassie.
Yes, Kate Bishop, who's played by the should have an Oscar Haley Steinfeld.
And like, what's making you think they're making a Young Avengers? But again, nothing came from that. It's at least so far.
Well, the closest would be Marvel Zombies, where Ms. Marvel's teamed up with Haley Steinfeld's
Kate Bishop,
and Ironheart, I think.
Yeah. Oh, I like Ironheart. Also a good show. You know, and the thing is it's hard to talk about this movie without going a lot into spoiler territory.
Yeah.
But I do like, without giving too much away, I do like Valentina's total shock that somebody's not going to just go along with what she wants. Like, okay, well, you have to do what I tell you. Why? She's not prepared for that. Valentina basically thinks she's living in a world full of NPCs. And every time somebody does something that's not what she wants them to do, she gets so confused. And most of the people who don't do what she wants them to, she's got some sort of power over.
Or she tries to kill him.
Well, yes. But the ability to put them in a situation where she can try to kill them is a kind of power. She just doesn't realize that she has less of it than she thought.
Yeah, the whole point of that is he tried. I think the opening act is trying to get rid of 4 things at the same time.
Yeah. The interesting question is, would she have tried to get rid of Yelena if Yelena hadn't tried to quit? And I think yes, she absolutely would have.
Basically, because at the time she's under investigation, and they might question Yelena.
Yeah. So, you know, just because Yelena's been useful doesn't mean it's not in her best interest to get rid of her. The more so when Yelena does try to quit.
So, did she also send Bucky after them, or was Bucky doing his own thing?
Bucky is doing his own thing. Bucky is investigating her because he doesn't trust her. And because he wants to get dirt on her that he can give to the impeachment committee. And he just happens to get, caught up in the whole thing. Congressman James Buchanan Barnes.
So, who was what was Bob's character's name?
Well, that'd be going into spoilers.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes, it is a more recent movie, so yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
the fact that there's only one MCU movie that's come out after this, and that, I haven't even seen that one yet because I just haven't had time. Means that I want to give away as little as possible about certain plot details.
The only thing you need to know is that the characters from this movie are going to be in Doomsday.
Yeah.
But and in fact, they do. In fact, both this and the next movie actually have teases for Doomsday in them.
Yeah.
And yeah, the only other thing I can know is that Bob is played by Lewis Pullman, I think his name is.
Yes.
And I realize he's the son of Bill Pullman, who is best known as Lone Star from Spaceballs, and they're making a Spaceballs sequel with Bill Pullman coming back, and Lewis Pullman's going to play his son in the movie.
They were at the Oscars together this year. I'm sorry, I'm an inveterate Oscar watcher, have been for many, many years. Would like to say that we have another MCU Oscar winner as of this ceremony, because Michael B. Jordan won Best Actor for Sinners.
Yeah.
And also, in case you need further proof that the Academy doesn't like superhero movies, despite having the weakest visual effects slate I think I have ever seen, not only were no MCU movies on it, freaking Superman wasn't on it.
Well, and with this being the shortest phase so far, it's also been the shortest review of the phases we've had. Unlike our 5-hour review of phase 3 or something, this is pretty short.
Yep.
So,
not a lot of movies, and one of them we're trying not to say too much about, except it's really fun. Watch it.
Yeah. So overall, and what was your opinion of Phase 5 post?
Uneven.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it.
It has the two worst movies of the MCU so far, in my opinion. But it also has some really good movies, and the one I didn't watch.
Yeah, you mentioned the back. It's all about bringing back your past.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned the thing is also let's course correct the middle of this thing.
If I can just give one lesson going forward that I feel the MCU would like us all to remember, it's that no means no. Don't touch people who don't want to be touched, and you won't end up being sent to prison instead of the MCU. That's it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I do hope eventually they will. I think King as a character is good. I hope eventually they might bring him back, or at least wrap up that storyline.
We'll find out.
But yeah. So So what are your future plans for a while since you won't be here? Since you won't be here for a little bit.
Oh, I need to track down 4 or 5 people, I think, at this point, and try to schedule 2-hour blocks to interview them for depth of field. I need to write tomorrow's piece, which I still haven't done, but I'm finishing up Friends Month and celebrating the living. Tomorrow is Lisa Kudrow, who is not alphabetically the last friend, but since I alternate men and women every week, she is alphabetically the last of the women. So she is this week. And then I've got something else coming up on the schedule that's a theme month, but I don't remember what it is. I mean, I've got Pride in June because I always have Pride in June. That might be my next. Yeah, that's my next theme. It's Pride. And just sort of an interesting array of people between now and then, including Rick Moranis.
What about you, Nick?
With my friend DL Jado, we're going to be starting, and another friend of ours, we're going to be starting a live stream series on Dead Island 2. Just kind of having fun with it. And our mutual friend is hoping Jado will want to do a game review of Dead Island 2, but we will see. Because Dead Island 2 is a fascinating case of a game taking 10 years to make, going through production hell the whole time, and somehow it came out good.
Speaking of 10-year games, I have recently learned that still on my computer, on my hard drive, is the 7 years ago I recorded a Let's Play of Kingdom Hearts 3, and I still on my hard drive. I have not edited it yet. Still sitting there for 7 years later. So I got to that. But anyway, but for the podcast, next Saturday, I'm interviewing the Roots Matter YouTuber. Seeing her talking about her thing, and then in 2 weeks I'm interviewing a bass guitarist and his musical career. So that's coming up on my channel. But hopefully, whenever Jillian comes back, for future plans, I want to do a breakdown of the different. Hopefully, maybe in the fall or whatever, when she's less busy, or in the summer. I don't know when we're gonna be less busy. I want to do a breakdown of what we did here with the Disney era movies, the Golden Era, the Bronze Era, the Dark Age, the Renaissance, and all other stuff.
Some of those should be more than one episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to do a breakdown of that.
I can take part in that because I did a whole Disney binge.
Yeah, I think 3 years ago we did the whole thing. But I want to do individuals.
Yeah,
breakdowns.
Marvel was the same way. So.
But yeah, we're have to wait on that till we're all less stressed and less busy. But until that time, never stop learning. Enjoy the randomness. We will see you when we see you. Bye.
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 Hey, thanks for watching my podcast or Let's Play. If you want to help support my channel, you can make a monthly or yearly pledge on Patreon, or just a one-time donation on Vimeo, PayPal, or Cash App. For those looking for something to wear, we have some shirts, hats, and other stylish things in our merch store. If you enjoy gaming, you can always follow and sub to me on Twitch. For those who don't want to give money, I have an Amazon and Steam wish list who can help the channel out. And of course, just liking, leaving a comment, and sharing this video helps more than you can imagine. And always remember to never stop learning and enjoy the randomness.